I was fortunate enough to spend 12 years on the Chiefs radio network, 9 of those on the sideline, 3 up in the booth. And the one thing that we did as we traveled each and every week was we were oftentimes in the locker room as some of our equipment was down there, and we would help at times with the equipment staff, people that I knew, Alan Wright, Kyle Crumball, Chris Shropshire, you name it, all these guys that I knew from when I played. So my last year broadcasting for the Chiefs, I remember we were going to play New England, and certainly if you know anything about the Chiefs and what had happened the year prior, this was a big game. And to give you an idea of how things generally work, we fly in on Saturday. The equipment staff, they go in, they set everything up on Saturday for the game. Then Sunday when we come in, we're good to go. Well, this was a Sunday evening game, and the equipment staff actually weren't going to set up until Sunday morning because there were some high school games being played there, I believe, college or high school games being played there. So they couldn't get access to the stadium. So I remember Dan Israel, our executive producer, asked some of us to come in early and help the equipment staff because they were so good with us and the equipment we had, and help get things going. So we go to Gillette Stadium and the trucks are there, and we start unloading the equipment bags for each individual player. And I did kind of notice that there weren't as many bags as I thought there would be, but I just thought maybe that I'd missed some or that they'd already been unloaded. But as we started looking around, all the bags weren't there. And Alan Wright, the head equipment manager, I'm seeing him getting on the phone, and he's just calmly making calls, and he's in another room, and then I see Dan Israel go in there, so I follow in. So Alan knew what I suspected, which was all the equipment bags weren't there. And I'm talking with Alan, and he goes, I know we put them all on, so it's not a problem. I know they're somewhere. It's just something's happened from the airport to here. So some of the bags had been put in an area that the equipment staff couldn't get to when we unloaded the bags to come to the stadium. And so ultimately, Alan figured out that the bags weren't there. They had gone to another airport. He had located them, but it was going to be an issue getting them back. And I remember coming back into the room where Dan Israel was talking with Alan, and he was going through what had happened. And he explained to me that, they were in another airport. They were going to bring them back. He was trying to find everything. But the thing that really stood out to me was Alan, as he's telling this story of what was going on, he looks at his phone and he got a text and he just kind of laughs. And I just said, what? He goes, this is just I just got a text from Coach Reid. I go, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, obviously the minute I realized that some of the bags were gone, I got a hold of him and let him know what was going on and what happened. And he just texted me back and said, hey, Alan, I was just out taking a walk, went by a garage sale, saw some helmets there. Do you want me to go back and buy them? And I think that's funny. I mean, here it is game day, and you've got bags and equipment for key players on the team that aren't there, yet the head coach is lightening it up. So Coach Reid followed that up with another text that read, nothing like a little game day anxiety to get the blood pumping. And I think that just kind of tells you the type of relationship that Coach Reid and Alan had. I mean, the fact that they could communicate in an open, honest way about something that was obviously very, very serious, and understand that they were just going to figure it out. Alan had already located helmets and things to warm up with for the guys. He'd already arranged that the equipment was going to be back in time for the game, but he didn't know if it was going to be back in time for them to warm up. He thought so, but he was still making sure. So they found helmets, red helmets at a high school that were the type that we had, that they could get some people in. And he did a whole bunch of other things to where the Chiefs could have warmed up if they needed to. Now, luckily, all of that didn't have to take place as the bags came in time for the players to get suited up and warm up. But the lesson that comes to mind for me from this is communication. Communication is so vital. I played with a guy who's in the Hall of Fame by the name of Morton Anderson. He kicked for 25 years in this league. And he carries this one piece of paper with a quote with him at all times, which is, "Powerful, productive communication produces powerful, productive relationships." And I think that says a lot for what was going on between head equipment manager Alan Wright and Coach Reed. I mean, this was a very stressful situation that was going on, yet they could communicate in a fashion that made the most sense to deal with this very serious situation. And I think there's a lot to be learned from that. You know, building that trust among people that you work for, or building that trust among people who work for you or that you work alongside. Being able to be open and honest and real with people is the only way to make sure to be the most productive person, the most productive team that you can ever be. If you don't do that, then you're never going to get to where you want to go. You've got to be open and honest. You've got to be vulnerable at times. And that dialogue that took place that day between Coach Reed and Alan, that wasn't built that day or that year. That was built 5 years prior, and each and every day from then on as they communicated and talked and dealt with things. And I think that's something that we can all learn from.